All right, hello, welcome to my cozy nook that's in my office. It's just backed away into this little corner. I told TJ and the boys this is the 10 square feet of space where it is only for mom. This is my special area where I can read and craft and draw and watch shows and just veg out. You know, like in Bluey when Chili's like, I need 20 minutes. This is my I need 20 minutes space. I'm going to talk today about books. I love to read. It doesn't mean that, look, I'm not saying I have like the best taste in books, but I did work at my high school. In high school, I worked at the library. I would go there every day after school and work for 3 hours. And I just love being surrounded by books. There's just such a comforting feeling. I've always loved to read. It's been my escape, you know, all through childhood. You know, there's no better escape than a great book where you can just kind of get lost. And I've loved reading ever since. So I wanted to dive into like some of the books that I just reread over and over. The books I keep going back to. When I'm in a slump, I just go back to the same few books. I don't know why. And it could be just the season of life I was in when I read those books initially, and like reading them again takes me back. But there's some books I really enjoy the audiobooks. I really enjoy re-listening to, and I'm gonna share this with you. So first up, I would say like I love to read and I listen to audiobooks a lot though when I'm like working because I can multitask. It's hard to find the time. I mean, I read at night, but it's hard to find the time to like just sit and read without any distractions. So I do listen to audiobooks a lot, and the books that I recommend here are like the narrators are really, really good, and I keep going back to them. So first up is Ray Porter, who is a great reader. He's an excellent audiobook narrator. And you might know him from the audiobook of Project Hail Mary. Again, I have a lot of these like on my Kindle too. I don't buy a lot of physical hard copies of books, mostly just because I'm lazy. And like, if I want it, I want it right now, and I'll just click buy on my Kindle. But Ray Porter reads Project Hail Mary, does an incredible job, and I should put that on this list of books I've come back to again and again. I've read that twice, and I've listened to the audiobook twice, and I really enjoyed it. But Ray Porter has another book that I think I've listened to / read maybe 10 times. I don't know, and again, like I might not even be able to analyze why, but Silver Linings Playbook is so good. I am not talking about the movie. The movie was not good. Like I did not enjoy it. I even had TJ read the book and then watch the movie, and he was like, this is not the same. And that movie won Academy Awards, right? Like it's a very critically acclaimed movie. The book is so much better to me in so many ways. It's so much deeper. The emotion, I just get sucked into Pat's world, and I love that he is an unreliable narrator. So the book Silver Linings Playbook is about Pat Peoples, who gets out of an institution. We don't really know what it is, but we learn pretty early on that it's for like traumatic brain injuries, and he's being pulled out of there by his mom, and he starts to narrate what happened in his life. He's in denial about things, but he's so optimistic, and it's both, like, this book makes me feel every emotion. Happiness, I laugh, I cry, I feel so connected to the characters. It's so, so good. The books I'll recommend will sometimes have strong language, and that's like kind of unavoidable with a lot of literature. Anyway, the book is just beautifully written. It's written so well. We love Pat, but we know he's not reliable. We know we can't really trust what he says and thinks, and we're wondering the whole time. It's kind of a mystery because we're wondering what happened to him and what happened to him and his wife, Nikki. And the whole story just takes you on this beautiful, heartbreaking journey. It shows real people who have real problems. Everyone feels very vivid. And also, I really like college football. I'm a big college football fan for my school. And it has a lot of football scenes in it. And that reminds me of such good times. And the bond kind of people have. In this book, it's to an extreme. But the bond people have with like their sports teams. So it could be analyzed on so many levels. But I just loved that world. I loved entering it. And I just over and over again have revisited, and I don't know, I just can't get enough. I think it's heartbreaking. I think it's beautiful and sad and happy and hopeful. It's just great. And it's not a super long read. So if I think I read this when I got it from the library, like in an afternoon. It's pretty quick. So I can't recommend it enough. I love Matthew Quick. I think he's a brilliant author. And yeah, this is a rereadable book for me. The next book, so these books are, we're gonna take like a little turn. The books by Sophie Kinsella, who, by the way, has such a heartbreaking story right now she has glioblastoma, a brain tumor that's inoperable and incurable, and it's got a pretty sad mortality rate. And that just shatters my heart because I love her so much. Her newer stuff is not, to me, as strong as her older stuff, and that could just be the phase of life I was in when I was like reading it. She does like chick lit, I guess you could say, but she does it with such humor, and it's so well written. She's an excellent writer, and so something that like in her books would be cheesy or kind of corny isn't, because it's in her capable hands, and she just deals with everything so well. I don't roll my eyes at it. I laugh. I cry. So the 3 books I would say of hers that I keep revisiting over and over. 20s Girl is so good. Oh, that's such a good book. That's about, and these are about like, the main characters are women in their late 20s who are just dealing with a change or career change. They are kind of rom-coms, but they're very much PG-13 rom-coms, which I appreciate. When it comes to like graphic scenes in books, I can't help but like picture the author writing it, and it's like weird. I'm like, I just can't, I don't know. It's fine. I just appreciate that Sophie Kinsella keeps it real and like keeps it, she doesn't like, it's a very much fade to black situation, but the romances are really cute. The people feel real. It's humorous. It's funny. And so 20s Girl is really, really good. It's about a late 20s young woman who is at her Aunt Sadie's funeral, her great Aunt Sadie's funeral. And it's a really sad affair. No one's really there. Like, it's a very, the person officiating doesn't really know what's going on. And then she gets haunted by the spirit of her great aunt. So they postpone the funeral because her great aunt can't find her necklace. And then we go on a journey of like discovering who her great aunt is. Oh, it's so good. And like, it's such a fun adventure. I think that the storytelling is so good. The problems in it are very real. The career problems and the confusion. It's just like my comfort book. These 3 Sophie Kinsella books are like my comfort reads. I just keep going back to them. I think they're just so, I don't know, they're just very cozy. The Undomestic Goddess, which is about a high-profile lawyer who works 7 days a week all the time, who then has like an instance at work that makes her just run away. It's a huge mistake, and she finds herself in a rural town in England, and she's suddenly like a housekeeper. And it's so good, and it's funny, and it's warm. She has like this contrast between this high profile life and then suddenly like faking her way into this job as like a home chef / maid, and it's really funny, but also like just a really good story, and it has like a twist, and it has like very interesting elements. So I really enjoyed that one. And then the third one is just, I guess I should say, like, I like the Shopaholic books, and I do tend to like re-listen to Shopaholic and Baby and Mini Shopaholic. All of these books, by the way, I think the narrator is one of the big reasons that I love these books so much. The narrator is Rosalind Landor. Her narration is incredible. I wish she could read every book. Her accents are good. She has such a rich voice, and the way she says things and the emphasis she puts on certain words just gives such a beauty to the writing, and it probably elevates it more than maybe if it's just being read casually. She just elevates it and makes it rich with emotion, and it's so good. So those are really fun, really good, warm, cozy reads. Wish I could read them again for the first time. Sophie Kinsella is such a comfort, and not that I didn't like her newer stuff. I haven't liked it as much maybe, but all of her books are really fun, cozy reads with a happy ending. You know what you're getting. But yeah, those early mid-2000s books that came out or maybe 2010s, just have a special place in my heart for sure. One series of books I just don't see talked about very much, and that's probably because there's controversy, which we don't need to even bring here. I'm just talking about books. We're not talking about anything else. I fell in love with the Harry Potter books when I was Harry's age. So I think I started when I was 14 and then, you know, waited for the fourth book to come out. And then ever since then I've just loved all of these books, reread them a million times. My kids have read them a million times. Like, we are just big fans in our home. But the other series that J.K. Rowling has, she has it under a pen name, Robert Galbraith. It's the Cormoran Strike books I could do an entire video just about them. They are so good. They are my complete obsession. Now, when it comes to content, these books are definitely more, there's a lot going on. They deal with murders and they're mysteries, they're detective novels. The main character swears a lot, so there's a ton of swearing in these books, but I don't know how to, like, how are you supposed to write a British ex-army officer who's around a lot of policemen in Great Britain who doesn't swear? It's going to happen. So I feel like there's lots of swearing, but if that doesn't bother you, there is nothing gratuitous in these. I don't feel like there's nothing graphic that doesn't need to be there. It's just painting a very, you know, dark. They're dark, but they are so good. The characters are so real. It's like I believe that they are real. I truly believe that they are actually real. Because one of the things that kind of bugs me when I'm reading a book is if I can see the author and I can see them writing, I can picture them writing and I know the characters that they're writing and I know what they're trying to do. You can kind of see through, like, if a character's supposed to die, if a character's gonna, you know, you can kind of read based on what the author's doing, you can see what they're up to. But these characters and the story, the plot lines are so vivid and so real and so well crafted that I've never guessed the end ever. And I'm pretty good at guessing thrillers and like the endings. I've never guessed it right. And I don't think but then going back to reread, there's just little hints the whole way that you can see. Oh, it's so good. So I would say I've talked to a lot of people about these books, and they say they can't get into the first one, which is called Cuckoo's Calling. And I understand why. So to give a preface about what these books are, Cormoran Strike is a detective. He's ex-army. He's kind of down on his luck financially. He just breaks up with his fiance, and we meet Robin, who's temping for him for one day. He has one leg also. He's missing the lower half of his leg from like an IED explosion from the army. And so he's had a lot going on. He's grumpy and surly, but very clever. He's just so well written. He's so vivid. I love him so much. And then we meet Robin, his temporary assistant, who has a knack for solving cases as well. And so she joins him, and the first book is about the supposed suicide of a supermodel who her brother comes and says, I don't think that this was a suicide. And then Cormoran goes on this journey of solving this murder. So the first two books, I would say, they're wonderful. I love them. I think it really starts to pick up book 3, and then from there, the mysteries are so good. They're long books, but they're so rich, and the world is so vivid. And I just escape right into that world. And they stop by the pub and they get these crispy fish and chips, right? Or I can see it and I can feel it and I'm there. And it's almost, my warning with these books, other than if the content makes you sensitive, I would, be wary of, I would say just the main thing is it does deal with crimes of a graphic nature and it does have a lot of swearing, but other than that, nothing is gratuitous. There's nothing that feels like it doesn't need to be there or that it's only there for some kind of weird gratification. All of it's there very much on purpose. Every story element and story beat and every character is very intentional and so good. So I really just love those books so much. And the narrator for these books is Robert Glenister, who is incredible. His narration is so good. The audiobooks are phenomenal. And all of the accents, the many different accents in the UK, there's so many, are all just pitch perfect, and not that I would know, but they all feel very real and vivid. So yeah, the 5th book, I would say the 5th book and the 7th book, because the 8th one's coming out, I think, this year. I'm so excited. So the 5th and the 7th are masterpieces. I think the 5th, Troubled Blood, is incredible. It's so good. The writing is beautiful. The characters are vivid. It's a cold case in the 5th book, and we go back to, I believe, the 70s, and we solve a murder of a doctor named Margot Bambro, and her daughter wants justice, and it is such a ride. It's so good, and I cannot wait for the 8th book. The 7th book too was such a nail biter, and I'm trying to like not give any spoilers. The 7th was such a nail. I was so anxious. It was in the best way. I was so anxious for this character that I'm like, this is a fictional character, but I am so worried for them this whole time. So good. So my only warning about these books, other than, yeah, the content, whatever, my only warning about these books is they kind of ruin you for a lot of other books. You will be in a slump because you will have been exposed to like the most incredible writing and story and plot and pacing that it's gonna be hard to go to other, like I genuinely get in a slump every time I'm done with these books. You're just kind of get bummed out because you try to go to other books and other fiction and it just doesn't hit the same. It's not as rich, it's not as complex, it's not as interesting. I mean, they're still good, but that is the one caveat, is if you're ready to just have a series of books destroy you in every good way, these are the ones. And I'm sure I have more. I have so many books that I've read. We can talk about, I don't know if this video will like do well or if anyone will care, but I have a lot of recommendations from this past year that I've read. My problem with like I don't have a problem with them really, the book talk community or the Bookstagram or people who recommend and refer books. I've read their recommendations too many times and I've just been like, oh, this is not good. This is just not a good book. So yeah, I'm just kind of tailoring my book recommendations and the things I want to talk about to like my own tastes, and I would love your recommendations below. I'm always looking for a great new book, a great new series, a new biography. You know, I love to just dive into great books and go from there. So yeah, those are my recommendations for now. I'm sure they've been talked about. I don't know. I can definitely do a video on the books I've hated. No shade to their authors because I'm not an author. What do I know? And the books are very popular. But just books that weren't for me, that were extremely popular, that I'm like, why? Yeah. So anyway, that's it. That's my little video. Welcome to my little cozy corner. I'm excited for future content. I hope that you guys want to join. If you don't, we'll have a couple good friends here and it'll just be a creative outlet for me. But yeah, thanks for joining, and I'll catch you in the next one.